All right, welcome back to another episode of the Thumb Strong Podcast. I'm joined as always by Coach Bethany. How are we doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing good. Got some awesome coffee from my favorite coffee maker.
That's me.
That's you. So today, speaking of coffee,
More coffee better.
we're going to be talking about hydration and why hydration matters more than people might think. So hydration affects far more than just our thirst. Water impacts our energy, our focus, our mood, our performance, recovery, circulation, digestion, temperature regulation. So this episode, we want to try to help you guys understand why hydration matters so much, how much we might need, when to drink water and other fluids, and also where coffee and energy drink, where those fit in to hydration, if at all. So the first thing that we're going to start with is why hydration matters. So kind of like what I mentioned, it's involved with everything in the body. So helps maintain our blood volume and circulation, helps transport nutrients and waste, helps regulate our body temperature, supports digestion, kidney function, joint lubrication, cellular processes. Hydration also affects how our whole body functions. And obviously, as we know, like we need to stay hydrated for exercise, and workouts and work and things like that. So hydration is one of those things that, makes us function properly and feeling our best. So we need to make sure that we're staying hydrated. So we want to get into how do we actually get hydrated? Before we talk about that, is there anything you want to add to that?
Nope, just ready for why hydration matters.
Okay. That's why it matters.
Or, yeah.
Next one would be why, what happens when we're dehydrated.
Gotcha. I guess one thing to add with that is that hydration also plays a role in your muscle function. So the dehydrated muscle tissue contracts less efficiently and you fatigue faster. So if you're tired or you're not lifting as heavy in the gym and you can't figure out why, it can be very likely that you are just dehydrated. So check your water balance. Make sure you're getting in enough, and especially now that it's getting warmer out too.
Yeah, yep. I feel like most people know that they should drink more water. They just don't know why they need to drink more water.
Or they don't remember to.
Yeah, they don't remember to. Or when we are like a little tired, have a little bit of brain fog, things like that, we think we need more coffee, more energy drinks, more caffeine, to get us through the day. Whereas they could be just, like we said, a little bit slightly dehydrated. And actually, we do wake up. When we wake up, we're slightly dehydrated just because obviously our body needs to use the water as we sleep to recover for all those processes and stuff like that. So we need to get hydration right when we wake up, which we'll talk more about. But before we get into that, let's talk about what actually happens when we are dehydrated, even slightly dehydrated. So what actually happens in the body? So you don't have to be severely dehydrated to feel effects. Even mild dehydration can affect our energy, mood, focus, working memory, fatigue, and around 2% body mass loss is often where performance and cognitive effects become more noticeable, especially with exercise or heat. So some actual symptoms could be that brain fog, it could be a headache, dry mouth, low energy, dizziness, dark urine, or if it smells off, right? Or if you just feel off, if you don't feel normal, like your normal self. A lot of people think that in those circumstances, like I mentioned, that they just need more caffeine, when actually it could be just that they're underhydrated.
Yeah. And generally, so like mild dehydration would be considered a body water loss of 1 to 2% of your body weight. So like if you weigh 150 pounds, that'd be 1.5 to 3 pounds of your body weight. If you're 200 pounds, it's 2 to 4 pounds of water loss. So you could, if you want to test it, like weigh yourself before you exercise and then after, and then see how much like sweat loss you did, that you ended up getting from that exercise. And then making sure, like, if you did lose a significant amount, make sure that you're replenishing that. Especially a careful thing for athletes if you're being outside. And then you get even more heat in the sun that makes you lose even more water. But another thing to note is that thirst is usually a lagging indicator of your hydration status. So by the time you actually feel thirsty, you're nearly 1 to 2% down already at that point. And so your performance mentally and physically is likely already suffered.
Yep.
And you can even feel some symptoms, even just like impaired reaction time and like the brain fog, poor memory. You can experience that even at lower, below 1%, it can. But yeah, once you get into that 1 to 2% range and start to feel thirsty, you know that it's already setting in.
Yeah. That's why it's better just to try to always have like a bottle of water on you, or like carry around, the insulated, Stanleys or whatever, and just take some sips throughout the day, obviously. And we'll talk about kind of the best way, just best strategy, but you want to have some water or fluids before you get to that point where you're really thirsty, so that you can avoid that 2% loss of dehydration, because that's going to affect your overall energy, cognitive function, and how you feel. So next we'll get into how much do we need. So there's a lot of recommendations, and so I wanted to kind of take a different approach on this and make it sustainable, simple for people to understand. And so obviously there's no perfect number for anybody, and there's a lot of different variables because it depends on the type of year. Even like in the summer when we're outside more and sweating more and moving more, we need more water. In the winter, if you're not doing as much and not sweating as much and not going outside, you don't need it. So there's a lot of variables depending on how much you're exercising, what type of exercise you're doing, how long the bouts are. So there's a lot of different numbers. But just as a general rule of thumb, men should have roughly 125 ounces of fluids per day, and women around 90. It says 91, but yeah, let's call it 90, 95 ounces of fluids. So this isn't total just water intake. This is fluid intake. So this is including some of those other beverages and stuff. And just keep in mind also that roughly 19% of our total water intake comes from our foods that we eat as well. So you are getting some water from the foods you eat, especially if you're eating like fruits and vegetables. They're going to have a higher water content than other foods. So this doesn't mean, caveat to 125 ounces of fluids for men, 90 for women. This does not mean you should have all 125 ounces from coffee, pop, and energy drinks. So the majority of that fluid should be from water, from plain drinking water. And a good rule of thumb is to aim for about 60 to 80% of your fluids to come from water, or a low, no calorie, like hydration drink, something like that.
Yeah.
So just for funsies, I guess I'll just do some quick math, hopefully estimate. 60 to 80% of 125, you're looking at probably like 80 to 100 ounces roughly of your drinking water. And then the remaining, it would be about 30 to 50 ounces can be from something else that maybe you do enjoy, getting a coffee or a drink every day. Juices, teas, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, I would try to obviously avoid as much of the high sugar, really high caffeine drinks, but just like a regular cup of coffee, you're looking at like maybe 80 milligrams of caffeine per cup. If you did have one energy drink every day to give you that caffeine boost, I mean, we do that pretty much every day. So that's a portion of our intake, but it's not a high percentage is basically the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah. So things like coffee, tea, even like milk's like 97% water, something like that, if I remember right. Sparkling water, any food-based water, like especially soups, are great in the wintertime. Like soups, broth, even yogurt has a higher water content too. But so yeah, like total fluids count. Plain water should do most of the work. That should be most of the heavy lifting of what you're doing.
It's it kind of reminds me, like I told you before we started, it reminds me kind of like what we recommend for eating too. Like we recommend, hey, if you can eat 60 to 80% healthy whole foods, and then you can allow yourself to have a little bit of whatever you want, that's going to be the most sustainable approach to eating. It's the same thing with our hydration. Hey, if 60 to 80% of our fluid intake is just plain water, and then the rest you can have other stuff, as long as it's not going overboard with like an excessive amount of sugar and excessive amount of caffeine, you're going to be in great shape with your hydration.
Yeah.
So they kind of go hand in hand with each other. And so that's kind of our rule of thumb for both of those: hydration with our fluids and with our food. Obviously leaning more toward 70 or 80%, but even 60%, over 50%, you're in good shape, right?
Right.
So how do you know if you're getting enough? So this will kind of help you adjust the amount of fluids that you're taking in. So a simple marker is the urine color. So if, like I said, if it's a dark color, you're most likely dehydrated. You want it to be clear or like a pale yellow. If you take like a multivitamin or a B complex, you might have like a neon yellow. That's okay. You're just excreting water soluble vitamins. So don't be alarmed if you are taking a multivitamin and it's a bright yellow or neon yellow. That's just the water soluble vitamins. So whatever vitamins that you're not using, it's excreting through your urine. So dark urine, strong smell, that thirst, the fatigue, the dizziness are all common signs that you do need more fluids. Don't wait until you feel terrible to start hydrating, especially in hot conditions. We definitely recommend drinking more water before you get thirsty. So those are some simple kind of tools that you can use to know if you are getting enough or to know if you need more.
Yeah, and just a little nuance to add too, like first thing in the morning, your urine is going to be darker just because you have been asleep all throughout the night, unless you do have to get up and go pee throughout the night as well. It's kind of normal after sleeping to have that darker urine color, so it's better to check a little bit later in the morning after you've had your fluids.
That's a good sign to start the day with your water.
Yeah, it's like you do tend to wake up slightly dehydrated every morning, so just making sure to like get in a large amount of water as soon as you can. Like I always shoot for 1 bottle of water pretty much right after I get up, so in that way kind of helps combat any sort of fatigue and things like that. It's like most people, if they're super groggy and they wake up and they need their coffee right away in the morning to feel normal, and it's like you probably just need water right away, and then like you can have your coffee after that, but it's like you'd probably have just as much, if not more, benefit from just having a glass of water and then like have your coffee after that.
And that's where we recommend the habit stacking method, where it's like, okay, put your insulated water bottle or just a water bottle or even a glass of water next to your coffee maker before you go to bed. When you wake up, you go out to make your cup of coffee, boom, your water's right there. Oh, I gotta drink that first. You drink your water and then you can still enjoy your coffee.
Right.
So try to make it as simple as possible, which we're going right into our next point here is when's the best time to drink our water. And like we were saying, try to front load as much of your water and get hydrated in the morning. So if you can start your day with like that 12 to 20 ounces to get kind of rehydrated after sleep. And then obviously you want to drink throughout the day. So my recommendation is just always have access to it or have it on you. And so we have water bottles right in the fridge all day. And so usually we'll just grab some from the fridge, but carrying around like your insulated cup all throughout the day, like a lot of people have the Stanleys or some other kind of insulated 32 ounce or 24 ounce cup, and just sip on that throughout the day. That way, once you get through it, you kind of know exactly how much you've got,
right?
Which is nice. And if you're really bad about it, I would recommend setting like an alarm that goes off every hour or two, and that reminds you to take a couple drinks of water. until you get into the habit of doing it, and then you won't need the alarm anymore. It might only take a week or two,
right?
To get into that habit to where you just kind of remember or know, like, hey, every hour, top of every hour, let me take a drink of water or something. So you could also have water with your meals. Increase the amount during or around workout times, outdoor activities, especially in hot weather, like if you're doing yard work and stuff. Make sure that you are intaking extra fluids, extra water, carry it around with you. So, for example, like when I go out and do yard work, I'll take my 32-ounce ice cold water with me, right, out in the truck if I'm driving to the property or something like that. Or if we go out to the cabin, we're cutting up trees and clearing trails, I've got it right like on the four-wheeler with me, because when it's 80 degrees in the middle of the summer, I sweat pretty easy. I'm drenched usually when we're doing that kind of stuff, so I want to make sure I've got a bunch of water with me. And in those situations, that's where it's also handy to have like an electrolyte powder too, like an Element or the First Form Hydration or Relate or Liquid IV, something like that. Because you're excreting a lot of fluids, so if you have that salty sweat, you're losing sodium, so you want to replenish that. So that's where those circumstances around workouts or outdoor yard work and hot weather, that's where you might want the electrolytes too. So.
Yeah. And typically, if the exercise bout is longer than 60 minutes, you definitely want some. You can, if it's under 60 minutes, you can probably just get away with plain water if it's not super intense. And if you're outside running for 16 minutes, like, you definitely want some sort of electrolyte replenishment at that point. You just don't want to have to catch up at the end of the day, or like get to a point where you're underhydrated for whatever activity you're going into.
Yep. So here's a fun one. Some great news. Does coffee help or hurt your hydration? So coffee still contributes to our fluid intake. It's not dehydrating enough to cancel itself out for most regular coffee drinkers. But with that being said, it shouldn't be our only source of fluid intake.
Yes.
So coffee can count, but it should, it should be part of a hydration strategy, not the entire strategy.
Yes.
If you're drinking a pot of coffee every day, you're definitely going to be a little bit more dehydrated than somebody else, the normal person. That, if you want to try to maybe have your cup or two or whatever your standard is, plus some fluids. And like we said earlier, 60 to 80% of your fluids, you want to be just plain water. And if you're somebody that doesn't like a lot of water or like the taste, try to front load it, get it over with early.
Yeah.
That way you can enjoy your other stuff, throughout the day. So,
as far as when, like, whatever that point is, where it starts to be the tipping point, generally lower doses. So 3 milligrams per kilogram don't meaningfully disturb fluid balance. So, math quick.
I already did this morning.
You did the math?
So I'm 190 pounds, which is like 85 kilograms. So multiply that by 3, I think it's 259, something.
Almost. 2.2. Yeah, 259.
Yeah.
So if you're having more than that, then it starts to.
Yeah, so if I have more than 259 milligrams of caffeine a day, that's where it can start to affect my hydration, right? Yeah. Unless I'm drinking enough water.
It says that an intake of around 6 milligrams per kilogram can induce acute diuretic effect, while lower doses, this is considered a lower dose, does not meaningfully disturb fluid balance. Okay, so multiply that by 2, as long as you're not going over 500. Yeah, 500. Then you're fine.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm way under that.
Yeah, so we're doing great.
Yep, doing great. Cool. And then that leads to our next point, which is, what about energy drinks? So although they contain fluid, they're not automatically dehydrating us. Let's see. They are better thought of as a stimulant drink, not a hydration drink. So that's kind of one mistake, because a lot of energy drink companies use a little bit of false marketing with like, oh, it's got B vitamins, and some of them have like creatine and all this stuff,
like
but it's
electrolytes.
It's a very low amount. It's not enough to really make much of a difference. It's just there for marketing it as a healthier drink. It's mostly it's like caffeine.
And so some have sugar too.
Yeah, so like if you're drinking
fine.
Monster or something, you're getting a lot of sugar as well.
Unless it's a white Monster.
Unless it's a white Monster or the orange, red, blue, whatever.
Yeah.
Purple.
The 0 ones or whatever.
0 sugar ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Delicious.
Yep. So an energy drink, it may wake you up, but it doesn't mean that you're well hydrated. So same thing as coffee. Like you can use it, but you're not using it as your hydration. Like you're not going to get hydrated necessarily from
not your main way of hydration.
Yes, you still want to add it to water.
Mm-hmm. And then energy drinks, some of them are also high in sodium, so that can also make you feel more thirsty rather than like satisfied from drinking that. And then obviously, like if you're drinking some with sugar content, then that'll add calories without meaningfully improving your hydration. Same thing with like pop. You know, it's like sodas. Diet soda is actually okay as far as hydration levels. But like regular soda, between the caffeine and the sugar content, definitely a net negative still.
Yeah.
Even though you kind of get a positive from the hydration, like it's not better than not drinking anything. Like if you just,
but the excessive amount of sugar is just it's not good for us anyway.
Yeah, not good anyways. So
yeah. All right. So what if you don't like plain water? So we get this a lot. Like people, you even like just don't like plain water. You can try it really cold. So cold water is usually more bearable than warmer water. Filtered water, you can try different bottles of water. Like I prefer Ice Mountain. I hate the flavor of some of the other waters. Like even the water we sell, I don't like. I drink it, but like part of it too is just like you got to understand you're drinking it for a purpose. So like even though I don't like the bottles that we have, I'm like I know I need water, so I'm going to drink it regardless. But you can try adding like lemon, lime, berries, cucumber, mint to your water. You can do sparkling water. Unsweetened tea can count. Obviously, you got your water-rich foods, so like your fruits and veggies can count toward your total hydration without having to drink just plain water. Or like I love and recommend like the little electrolyte sticks. So like we have, we just sampled out like the daily hydration. So it's not a super high electrolyte like the Element that's got 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Like generally speaking, you don't need that much unless it's right around a workout bout or a long cardio session, or if you're outside working in the heat, you might not need that much. But the general hydration sticks, and it tastes amazing, flavors your water without having added sugars or anything like that. So actually I do that in the morning with my creatine and my early bird with 20 ounces of water to get my boom hydration started. Yeah. So that would be a good tip.
Yeah. And again, you don't want to add the hydration sticks to all the water that you're drinking.
One a day. Like one a day.
Make sure not to go overboard on that.
And that's huge with kids too. So like Prime and Gatorade and stuff like that. Like Gatorade and Powerade, they actually have a pretty low amount of electrolytes, realistically speaking. But like Prime and some of these other ones, they are coming out with like a fully stacked, like you got some good amount of electrolytes in there. And there's these kids in school that are drinking 2 or 3 of them a day, and their potassium levels are like through the roof, which is really, really dangerous. So you do need to be careful with these electrolyte drinks and powders because they're making them so high amount of electrolytes now. They're just in a competition, kind of like the energy drink boom, where like Red Bull was like the most popular in Monster, and it had like 80 milligrams caffeine, and then it was like 120, and now they're all 200-300. Like it just, the caffeine just kept, who can get the most caffeine in an energy drink is basically a competition. Well, now you're seeing it with electrolyte powders and drinks. And so you can literally go into the gas station, buy an energy or electrolyte drink like Prime that's got, 1,300 milligrams of sodium and 800 milligrams of potassium, which is like a lot, basically our daily amount, close to it. And so you get these kids drinking 3 of those. Well, you could be hospitalized with, I don't know exactly what happens to the body when you have way too much potassium, but it's not good.
Yeah.
I can't remember what happens, but it's not good. I heard about a kid getting hospitalized from drinking too many of those not long ago. But
Yeah, I mean, there's like the
let's figure it
NAPK
out.
pathway
Yeah.
as far as like cellular transport, and so like having too much potassium really throws off that balance as well. But I think it'll get to a point where like certain things start shutting down
Mm-hmm.
and just not functioning anymore.
We'll figure that out. But
for me, what I like to do, since I don't super care for water, I mean, don't get me wrong, water hits sometimes, but most of the time I only drink it because I know I'm supposed to. But what I try to do is, I'll add either like the cucumber or mint or berries, lemon, something like that to the water. Like I can make like a picture of it ahead of time and do that. I did like when I was doing that more consistently. Or just cold water. Just having it helps, and just like working on sipping it throughout the day. Or just like chugging it at certain times and trying to like get this amount of water before this time, chug it in the morning, and then like try to get like a boosted amount right away early in the day. So then that way, like throughout the later half of the day, all you have to do is just sip on water. That way, before bed, you don't have to drink as much. So then you're not getting up and peeing all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
the other thing too is like if you don't like water, it could be just because you are drinking too many flavored drinks, so you've become accustomed to that. So then when you have something that's flavorless, it tastes bad. And understand that can adjust. So like if you just started drinking more water and kind of naturally weaned off of the flavored drinks, you will adjust to that flavor. And a great example is I couldn't tell you how many people I've had conversations with who were pop drinkers. And then, maybe they started working out and started eating healthier, started drinking more water, and they kind of naturally quit drinking pop. And then they have a pop and it's like overwhelmingly sweet and they don't like it because their taste buds adjusted and they adjusted to what they were drinking. So sometimes if you hate water, it's just because you literally don't drink enough of it. And so you're not accustomed to it and you're accustomed to flavored drinks. And so just keep drinking it. Just kind of push through that uncomfortability for a couple weeks and you might start adjusting to where you don't mind it anymore and to where those other drinks maybe don't taste quite as satisfying too. So just keep that in mind. On our potassium, so too much potassium in the blood is called hyperkalemia. It can be dangerous because potassium helps control muscle and nerve function, especially the heart's electrical rhythm. So when potassium gets too high, it can cause abnormal heart rhythms, which can become serious or life-threatening. Other symptoms can include muscle weakness, fatigue, nausea, numbness or tingling, palpitations, or irregular heartbeat. So just be careful with the potassium intake, especially in those drinks because they taste amazing. And it's got a lot of potassium in there, so you can literally down them and drink them. It's not like you can overeat bananas, It's these drinks that are a little bit more dangerous. Yeah. So, all right, let's wrap it up. So key takeaways here. We just want to explain that water is involved in nearly every single major system in the body. Even mild dehydration can affect our energy, mood, focus, and performance. That starting point for overall ounces of fluids for men, about 125 ounces, for women, 90 ounces, give or take, depending on the amount of exercise you're doing, the time of year. If it's summer, you're going to need a little bit more, right? Make the majority of what you're drinking water, 60 to 80%, even more, obviously. Coffee can count, but it shouldn't replace water. Energy drinks, same thing. Maybe you have one, or I wouldn't recommend going over one energy drink in a day, probably. And then consistency through the day matters more than perfect timing. So just get in the habit of drinking more water through the day. Hydration is one of the simplest things that you can improve And it can make a bigger impact on how you feel, think, and perform than people realize. So just make sure you're staying hydrated and getting that water in.
Yeah. Make it easy and available for yourself as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Getting some sparkling waters and some different stuff that can help you transition. Like if you are having, more of the flavored drinks and you don't drink a lot of water right now, it's like, okay, then work on doing more flavored waters before just trying to go all in on just plain water and doing more of the sparkling and stuff like that to make it more exciting.
Yep. Awesome. Well, hopefully this was helpful. Until next time, stay hydrated and we'll see you soon.